preamble. All visitors must sign the visitor book at the entrance to Kiln Crates. This includes council staff from other buildings. There are no planned fire evacuation drills at one place today. If the fire alarm is activated during the visit, you must exit the building immediately. The council officers will direct you to the nearest fire exit and will escort the visitor to the building via assembly point beside the silver line at the top of Parliament Walk. Currently, staff should report to their floors assembly point. You should remain at your assembly point until directed to re-occupy the building and only re-enter once the fire marshal has advised it's safe to do so. Please do not attempt to leave the site of the vehicle until cleared to do so by the fire marshal to ensure access routes are kept clear for emergency vehicles. Please note that this is a public meeting and members of the public may be in attendance. The meeting will be recorded by the clerk and recorded online for public viewing. The taking of photographs, including screenshots, audio or video recordings, are not permitted during meetings unless with the express permission of myself. Can members attending virtually activate their cameras where possible to enable you to join by video, and can all attendees mute their microphones when not speaking. You do not comment during items unless I invite you to do so. If members attending virtually wish to speak on any point, please indicate by clicking on the raise your hand button. Members in the chamber should also raise their hand and I will bring you in at appropriate time. If members have not been able to access all papers for the meeting, please indicate. I'm now to a roll call to confirm attendance at the meeting. I would ask the members indicate if they wish to declare an interest.
Thank you. So I've got apologies from Councillor Lindsay, Councillor Keogh and Sergeant Bell and Police Scotland. I need to make a little note that Council Law will be late and we will not hear anything from Councillor Benny, so we hopefully she might turn up later as well.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Then we take to be on the agenda, which are the minutes of the previous year. Page 5, page 6, and page 7. Those present, was that a true and accurate records? I see you in the centre. Then we move to item 4. Right.
Representing Morning everyone. So first item that we have today is an application for a premises licence for Alloa Post Office. Today we've got Mr Emsley, who is representing the applicant. And the agenda, you see a copy of the application form, the operating plan, a response from Police Scotland, representation from the INSO, and also the Section 50 certificates that are required.
Okay, gentlemen.
Thank you. Good morning, Your Honours. So the application is for the Alloa Post Office located at 25 Bagsdale Street. The background to this application is that my clients operate post offices throughout Central Scotland were approached by Royal Counters to re-engage and open Main's post office back in our town centre. They took on this retail unit, which is previously operated, I understand, as a number of units. Opened Main post office earlier on this year, undertaken renovations to transform the premises into a modern community store. The unit will offer a standard range of convenience foods comparable to other local stores, including alcohol. The alcohol display It's two areas, one behind the counter for high value items and then a chilled area on the shop floor for beers and wines. The premises has installed the latest security, and obviously that's to help protect stock and minimise risk of theft. My clients are experienced retailers, as I said earlier, who operate several post offices within central Scotland to standard retail execution. The new store represents 50 best of clients, serving as the main post office for the town and supporting the long-term viability of the business. We've had no issues with any of the sites that managed from a licence perspective, and maintaining a strong track record of being transparent and diligent operators, and we've not encountered any compliance issues with the licence got back in 2005. We acknowledge the comments made by Mr Fair regarding home delivery conditions and are happy to accept those. Home delivery is not something we're considering just now. We want to future-proof the licence and should we decide to explore that option in the future. And we know there's been no objections to the application for police service or any residents on that basis would commend the board to approve this application. The questions are on.
Yeah.
First of all, would you eligible for it?
Yes, one of the public was surprised changing the order today.
Sorry.
Yes, good morning. You caught me a bit surprised changing the order today. The application is, as Mr Elms has kindly explained in advance of anything I would have to say, an application for a premises licence relating to the post office in Drysdale Street. All the appropriate documentation is submitted with the application. I have one question to raise that I was hoping to raise in advance that Mr Elms was speaking, and hopefully they will address this to give us comfort. The layout plan appears to show a separated area at the end of a row of shelving. That is an alcohol display area, and the licence would be that alcohol can be displayed in a single area. It appears to show a second area. I think if you look at the way plan, it's marked as an accessible alcohol area, and it's just a single end of aisle display. Whereas I have no concerns with the location of this additional area, because it's not uncommon in Clackmannanshire that we have similar layouts where there's an end of aisle display that appears to be disassociated from the single area or accessible area that's made. The layout plan would require a slight amendment, but I wouldn't suggest for a minute that that holds up a decision on the application. It's something that we can maybe at a later date in terms of the addition of some dimensions and extra lining on the drawing. If Mr Elmsley is agreeable to do that. In any case, up until that amendment was made and it was shown to be a clear single area, they wouldn't be able to utilise that extra area anyway. So it doesn't create any great difficulty with the licence being granted today. In addition to that, as Mr Elms has already covered, the application of the home delivery conditions is something that we've discussed on a number of occasions at board meetings, and we, I think, have reached a general agreement that home delivery is a high-risk activity that requires to be robustly managed, and the way to robustly manage that in Clackmannanshire has always been the consideration of whether or not it is necessary and expedient for purposes of the licensing objectives to add local licensing conditions. These were discussed at board's level when we created the statement of licensing policy on appointment of the new licensing board. Nothing has changed in my mind in the list of conditions at Appendix A, which Mr Elms has also kindly agreed that causes client no problem. The conditions that I would suggest are necessary and expedient for managing home delivery at this location should they choose to go ahead and offer home delivery. I would no further concerns about the application, as any new application will be. It will be monitored and visited occasionally when it first opens, just to make sure that staff are appropriately trained and premises managers are in place and actually managing. And out with that, I have nothing further to add.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Okay.
Thanks, Chair. Just for yourself, just in regards to the home delivery aspect, and it's something we're starting to see more and more, but I know you've said it's more of a to future-proof the licence and it's a future offering.
So my question really would be, what sort of plans are in place just now for the future in terms of how's that going to operate, how's it going to be managed, is it going to be via, the kind of popular Happy Shopper app, or how's that going to work potentially?
So my clients currently operate 3 other premises and use Snappy Shopper as part of that process. Snappy Shopper is probably the most robust platform at this present moment in time. You probably will see in the coming weeks something called Scoot, which is a new platform that Premier will take on. So because they're a Premier provider, they may move to Scoot, and Scoot is just same platform or similar platform run by the same mechanism of downloading to a handset. The handset then generates between 30 and 60 minutes delivery, and then on receipt evidence. So ID is produced when it's ordered, ID is produced when it's been received. If no ID is available, products distributed, brought back to the shop, go back into stock, customer refunded. So it's not like some other platforms, say like Deliveroo or Just Eat, who may decide that the operator dispenses with the alcohol, it actually goes back and is refunded back. So the transparency and ownership of the whole process is the operator.
Perfect, thank you.
Councillor Costello, do you have any?
No, not to have any questions.
Oh, are there any other questions? Well, having listened to the applicant and the LSO, I have no concerns about granting this application. I'm glad to hear about the methodology of home delivery, which has always been a bit of a concern of mine. So I'm happy to grant the application. Have a second, please.
I'm happy to second, Chair.
So seconded. Is that unanimous? Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honour. I will liaise with the team to address, I think what Mr Fair is talking about is Clackmannanshire and Fife have a kind of bubble where we kind of bubble the floor to include the red area. We'll colour code that appropriately so that it all links together as one area. So it's not uncommon.
That's exactly correct.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we move to item 4.2 on the agenda. So the lead for taking this one.
I am, Your Honour.
But first of all, I think I'm going to give Mr. Fair the opportunity.
So as we move on to the next item, you'll see that it's an application for Key Store 54A Dovecote Road. This is much the same as the previous application. Mr. Emsley is representing the applicant. You'll see that there's an application form, operating plan, comments from Police Scotland and the LSO, and Section 50 certificates included in your agenda.
Mr. Fair.
Yes, good morning. At the risk of repeating myself in relation to the last matter, it is almost identical. And that I agree with the further to that in the content of the report that was submitted. I won't repeat the mention of the requirement for home delivery conditions in the same detail, but this is a similar operation, and if home delivery is to be adopted, I am of the view that there's the conditions in Appendix A are necessary and expedient for the purposes of the licensing objective. The premises were previously licensed many years ago and operated without any great difficulty until the licence was surrendered to the owner by the previous owner. I think it's remained unlicensed and empty for some 6 or 7 years, I guess. So it's a small community store right in the housing estate, and I'm sure the new owners and the new operators will understand the risks of operating within a small community and take responsibility for this responsible sale of alcohol.
Any questions before? Sir.
So again, the application is for 54 Dovecote Road. My clients took on the convenience audit on the property earlier on last year. As Mr. Fair has said, it has been dormant for a lengthy period of time. And since they opened, they have been working hard to try and establish a business. I think it's probably been quite healthy for them not to have opened with an alcohol licence, because it's allowed them to build their business and engage with the community without the kind of noise that may come from being a new alcohol operator. Small compact range, it's a very, very small unit. It's quite unusual because it looks like a converted house. It's which it probably is. So unusual in its style, it fits in well with the local community. A relatively compact alcohol display area in two areas again behind the counter for high value, and a small beer and wine chiller to the left-hand side of the counter. Again, covered by CCTV internally and externally. My clients operate a number of units, mainly in central Scotland and Falkirk, and again, it's part of the family. Where the establishments for making a significant investment to try and just bring the service back to the local community. No issues previously with any of those sites that managed with regard to transparency and diligence as operators, and no issues with compliance with the license installed. To home delivery, we're putting that into it. There is no immediate desire to do home delivery. That may come as time goes along. Yes, again, they will use the Snappy Shop platform as part and parcel of that. I think just to give members comfort, Snappy don't just issue or become partners with retailers just on the say of the retailer applying. You have to go through a fairly rigid process, and you sign up to the elements of sticking to their protocols and etiquette. If you breach these in any shape or form, Snappy Shop will terminate a contract. So their brand is really important. They understand the importance and sensitivity of it. They understand that the platform and the marketplace changed since COVID, and they're conscious of that. So they are extremely responsible operators in every shape or form, hence why the significant majority of community operators use them. Happy to take any questions.
The members have any questions from Mr. Emily? Okay, I will listen to the application. There are no concerns being raised either. So I'm looking for a proposal.
Happy to propose, Chair.
Have a second, please.
From the second, Chair.
Okay. It's been proposed that we accept this with the draft local conditions that have been applied, and it's a Lee has seconded it. Okay, with these conditions. Okay, is that unanimous? Yes, agreed. Unanimous to the people present. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The next item we have on the agenda is an application for a non-minor variation for McGregor's in Alloa. You'll see on the agenda there's an application form, an operating plan, and a representation from the LSO. The board are therefore asked to consider the information before, and having done so, to determine whether to grant the licence subject to local conditions, or refuse the application.
Good morning. This is an application for a non-minor variation for a well-established public house type premises in the area that have not come to the adverse attention of the licensing board or the licensing standards also at any time since Mr. McGregor and his planner took over the business some time ago now. The application is, in the first instance, seeking to simply regulate something that they're all aware of, in terms of an in-house pre-made cocktail business that Mr McGregor's wife, this McGregor's wife operates with the business and offers a home delivery service for them. I've got no concern whatsoever about the nature of that part of the business, other than, as usual, where home delivery is involved. It's important that home delivery is properly regulated, and it can be easily regulated by use of the local conditions that are suggested in Appendix A report. The other part of the application relates to a change to the terms and conditions of children's access to the premises. At the moment, the premises operates as a wholly over 18 venue, offering public house type facilities and some live entertainment on a weekly basis, and is very much a vertical drinking bar type establishment. The operators would appear to be seeking consent to change the operation of the venue to widen its attraction by offering private hire of the venue and private use of the venue for events at which they would seek to allow children and young persons to attend these family functions and other type of private events. We have other premises that operate in Clackmannanshire under similar terms. I don't have any concerns about McGregor's long-term licensed premises operators in Clackmannanshire on and off, and have shown that they have a responsible approach to operating licensed premises. However, the change is quite a significant change in terms of children's access, and perhaps in line with other premises where a similar operation occurs. The Appendix B suggested local conditions would be necessary and expedient from licence objectives, just to ensure that these are pre-booked events, pre-planned events, and not an excuse for just allowing children and young persons to sit in the corner of the pub on a Friday night, which is very unlikely to happen again. So the conditions would suggest that children and young persons will only be permitted to the premises in accordance with the circumstances detailed in the operating plan. The operating plan identifies that it would be a planned celebration, and where food and family entertainment would be provided, and that any such pre-booked events are recorded in an events diary that's kept on the premises. The preference would be a very specific diary that's examinable. Not precious these days about whether that's a physical book or paper diary, or I think staff find that easier, or whether it's some sort of online booking system, as long as it can be examined and anybody that's left in charge of the premises is able to show myself or the police in that diary. In the event that they walk in at a time when children and young persons would be there, we're looking to be able to establish the pre-planned nature of the event, the type of event, and the fact that it's not just a sort of gathering. And the diary should be kept on the premises at all times and available for inspection by the police as a licence and standards officer at any time the premises are open. That's to allow the ability for the LSO, the police, to be able to look and see when the next event would be, when the last event would be. And I'm just suggesting, in addition to that, there should be some requirement for the diary to be kept for minimum of 12 months. I've not imposed that, I've not suggested that as a condition. Perhaps the board to add additional conditions at this point may well wish to suggest that. I would imagine that any responsible business operator will keep a hold of that events diary for at least a year anyway. I'm happy to answer any questions about the general nature of children's access to licensed premises. I don't have any concerns about this particular application. I think it's important that the applicants understand that this would be, because of the nature of the premises that they operate on a day-to-day basis, this would be restricted to private events. They can obviously seek to come at a later date and completely change the nature of the premises that they want in the future. I suspect that their operation, I'm sure Mr McGregor will confirm this, or what as the case may be, it is purely to facilitate private pre-planned events.
Any questions?
Just in relation to the diary, what have we conditions have we put on similar businesses as in timelines to keep it?
I had a look. I think we missed a. This is really just coming into my head as I was sitting here today. We had another type of diary that was to be kept in the records, such as delivery records. You know, we impose a condition that they're kept for a year. And it's only just occurred to me that there's no reference in this or the other premises that has a similar, or other premises of similar conditions, that there's no requirement for them to keep, and ultimately without a condition requiring the records to be kept, the diary to be kept, the event could happen tomorrow and the piece of paper that is their events diary can go in the bin and we have no record of the event being pre-planned. I think a year is an appropriate period. I think diaries last a year, businesses operate on a year-to-year basis in terms of tax returns and things like that, you know, so I think 12 months is quite a suitable period. I wouldn't expect anybody to hold it any longer than that. But it may be that the diary that's kept isn't a specific events diary, it's just a diary that these events are recorded in with other information. I think one of the other premises that has a similar condition uses their incident book and diary. They've got a data page diary that they keep in it, records their incidents, it records their underage sales, underage refusals and things like that, all in the same place, and including details of the events. So it's very much on the business to decide how to keep it, but I think I would just suggest an additional condition that records are kept for a year may be helpful.
Any other questions? No further questions. Mr. McGregor, would you like to address the board?
No, thank you.
No. Okay. We've seen the application and we've listened to the LSO and his report.
Can I just try and ask a question right here? Is McGregor, are you happy to support the standard legal conditions which Paul Fair spoke about?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Yeah.
No, you've got a question. I was just going to move.
Well, no, that's what I was just going to do. I was going to say I'm happy to move it with the standard conditions and obviously the extra ones that are detailed in Appendix A and B, and just say the 12-month period for the diary. Happy to move that.
Okay.
And I'm happy to second that. Ladies first.
Is that unanimous?
Chair.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes. Just to inform other recommendations from so can we take a brief 5-minute job?
I think you may want to repeat that. I don't think it would be heard. So I think you might want to repeat that. I don't think there was movement, so I think you'll need to repeat that.
Okay. We've had for information that's come to light just as we speak. So we have a brief adjournment just to look at this new information.
So after the second.
This isn't horseshoe yet,
No, it's not, this is beyond.
Okay, sorry.
So this is item 5?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Right. Yeah.
This is not horseshoe yet, so I apologize.
Okay.
So this time. That was for the horseshoe. That's all. Sorry.
We'll move to item 4. It's the application for the volunteer arms. Sure.
Morning everyone. So today we've got Mr. John Black, who is the applicant in relation to this application. You'll see that it's 3 separate extended hours applications and accompanied by a singular LSO report which takes on the 3 applications in one go. and the board are invited to grant the application or refuse the application today.
Yes, good morning. This is an application for extended hours for the British and Irish Lions tour which takes place later on this year. Mr Black has previously been granted a number of extended hours for his premises for various rugby tournaments around the world that have taken place at odd times of the day and night, and each of these have been, the previous ones have all been pretty much more extreme in terms of the hours of operation than these applications. All have been operated successfully without any difficulty. Mr Black has a series of invited guests, pre-booked guests, not necessarily invited, that are rugby supporters that arrive at his premises, and once in, the doors are pretty much closed during the extension period. However, in this case, the application is merely for an extension of an additional hour prior to and immediately prior to the kick-off of the three events in July 19th, July 26th and the 2nd of August. My understanding as a rugby follower myself is that 11 AM start time will be the kick-off for these events. Mr Black's applied for an additional hour to open at 10 AM to allow those attending to view games on the premises time to get in, get settled, get a bacon roll, whatever else is being offered, and get their pints ready before the kick-off so that there's no disturbance at the immediate kick-off of the match. I've got no concerns about the event or any of the events or the additional hour. There are many sport venues in the area that operate additional hours from 10 o'clock in the morning for other localised events, and this is clearly an event of national and local significance. There's a significant representation in the British and Irish Lions team from Scottish rugby players, and rugby in the Clackmannanshire area is quite well forward. So I don't have any concerns, but happy to answer any questions. I don't think in this instance that there is any need, unlike on previous events, I don't think in this instance there's any need for additional conditions in such a short period and prior to the kick-off. I don't think it would benefit or be necessary, regardless of whether benefits of the requirement visit conditions would be necessary and expedient for licensing objectives. I think Mr Black will manage what's required in relation to.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor.
I'm right to say we had an application for the World Cup, kind of the football World Cups, similar to this, for a venue in Silicon where we allowed it and everything went off. That's fine, as in nothing went off.
Yes, I think we've allowed extra hours for both football, rugby, and I think somebody may have had extra hours for golf at some point. None of the extended hours that have ever been granted for these sporting events to be televised on the premises have caused us any difficulty. I think Mr Black previously for one of the Rugby World Cups had open hours at 4 o'clock in the morning. Would it be as early as that? Something like
There was a Lions as well in New Zealand, I think it was.
yeah, so neither of these have caused any difficulty because of the way that they've been managed. So this is the sort of least concerning of any of the applications that were previously done.
Any other questions?
I don't have any questions. I was just going to move approval for the extended hours.
Yeah, because I have to just second it. As we said earlier, there have been applications made in the past without any problems. It's never come to the attention of the board, so I'm quite happy to second it.
If I would just say, because I just like it's more just for I spoke to Paul earlier about this. It's more just for responsible drinking. You know, we're all being in a pub and it's like 11 o'clock, everybody comes in, and one thing we don't want is people getting double rounds. It's hard for us to manage. Then the next person does it, then before you know it, it's 11:30, 12 o'clock and people are 4 pint deep. You know, it's just, if we just do it kind of, I've spoke to the local Mickey ones, the road shop across the road, and what we'll do is we'll do it ticketed, and the price of the ticket will just be for a couple of rolls. So the local business will get a wee turn at it as well. So it's just just to get people in seated, makes it easier for us to manage and hopefully more enjoyable for them. It's basically what it's for. Oh, okay.
Chair, I was just going to add and sum it up. I think it's good that our local businesses are providing these sort of facilities, because I believe it adds to the vitality of our villages when they're taking part, literally taking part in acknowledgement, and not just local events but international events. And I think the way the extra opening hours have contributed to that, and these are the sort of things that we ought to be alive to as a licensing board and support it as best we can. That's true.
Okay. Yeah, Richard, are you all happy with the application?
Yes, agreed.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Yes, nice to meet you.
As previously stated, if further information come to light,
Sean, you want to speak to this? Is that okay? Thank you.
If it's okay with board members, could we just request an adjournment in order to clarify the position for the next item of business? Yeah, so we'll say back at 20 past. Does that suit members?
that's fine.
Thank you very much.